all clear when it's good.
Oh, it's good now.
It's good now.
Greetings, Peter Morris. I'm the great and terrible NecroMage. Welcome to NecroMageTV Live.
Ah!
You yelled so
Hi,
loud
everybody.
it made my avatar
Whoa.
shake.
It does that if you speak really loud?
Yeah, because the audio will come out behind my microphone.
Cute.
Yes.
Cute.
You said live. I didn't know you meant alive.
We're
my
playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, kinda.
Sort of. A little bit.
A little
Welcome
bit.
to session 0.
Let's
Extra spice.
let me real quickly grab a thing.
Whoa.
There we go.
Already.
Aha.
Now I can't see your screen, so I don't know what you're grabbing.
I'm just grabbing my avatar. There we go.
Oh, there you go. That's what
My little me. I'm grabbing my little me.
Oh yeah.
Tiny little.
Oh,
Yeah,
This
I'm
is a
gonna- I
not
should have your-
paperwork stream.
I guess. So everyone's used Roll20 before, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
So y'all know how to update your avatars and create tokens and stuff. So
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
I
going
should
to
already have
after
done
this
that, but I
session. I'm
didn't.
going to make like a
Yeah, I might
proper
need to.
character picture for
Cool.
there.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go do something in Hero Forge.
Yeah, same.
Just like that.
awesome. So yeah, this is our session 0. My name is Christian Allaire. I am the author of Rise of the Black Coven, a campaign that is currently being kickstarted. If you haven't kickstarted it, I don't know what to tell you. It's running. Please go check it out. You're here and intrigued, so that's great. At least you're watching this video. And I am going to be DMing the introductory adventure, which covers chapters 1 through 3, essentially, of the book. And this is our prestigious party, and we're going to be talking about character Crayola and a bit of backstory to flesh out the characters and to get settled in the world.
Do you have a link to your Kickstarter handy that I can throw in the chat?
Oh, you know I do. I have so many. Kickstarter is great because it has the ability to create different links for different metrics, which I have probably done more than I need to. So I have all the details about where people are coming from and who is clicking and who is not clicking. I've been, again, obsessive and stressed about this.
Yeah, that's got to be an intense amount of data.
Oh yeah, no, that sounds. But if you want people to actually go and you need to be more aggressive. You need to say stuff like, "Go and smash that donate button."
Yeah.
Yeah, destroy it so
Get
that
those
others cannot
donations to the
donate.
moon.
I've debated doing thirst trap videos on Instagram, and I'm not opposed to it, but I don't.
A hot stream.
Oh, thank you for the sub, Lily.
Just like a little bit of a
Little bit of skin, little bit.
join my
There we go.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Why don't we? I mean, not everybody has a character yet, but why don't we go around the table and just give names and I don't know, backstory if you've or person backstory if you've got it.
IRL
Oh no,
lore.
my real life backstory.
Yeah, just a synopsis, just Sparks notes, your elevator pitch.
Oh god.
Well, if you don't know,
Well, I'll go first, I guess. Yeah, it does make
Yeah.
sense that I'll
Yeah.
go first.
You're
Um,
freaking stream.
I'm the great and terrible NecroMage of NecroMageTV fame. And Christian
I've heard
is
of you.
actually the first DM to actually host a game for me that went anywhere. Because remember that first game was the first game that I said made it past session 3. That's true.
Really? Aw, we finished that campaign.
Yeah,
That
it's the
was
first
like
one I
a
ever
year long.
finished. One of I think 3.
Oh, you stick with me, and we'll keep.
You're 2
I
of them.
also-
You're 2 of the 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say Curse of Strahd was also me.
Yeah. The other one was Nick's campaign, which you were in.
Was that the level 21?
It was the one where I was Hawk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hawk Prosperity Windsinger.
One of my favorite characters to this day.
Also one of mine. I love her to death.
What if Zelda was a girl?
Wait,
Can they crawl though?
I
Whoa,
was
whoa,
gonna say,
whoa,
not to split hairs. I feel like Zelda was a girl.
Uh-oh.
That's
Lot of
the
weird
joke.
wet dreams now.
That's the joke.
And
That's the joke.
and I'm playing Killian Doyle, who I have, for the first time, figured out personality-wise before mechanics-wise, which is very weird for me. But I knew that after I looked at the campaign information, I 100% knew I had to follow Mob.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in the
you
campaign. I had to follow her.
I call her Queen Mab, but
Mab.
you can call her Mob if you want to. We're good with both.
And I'm gonna be an Archfey Warlock, and I'm just going to be the most personable, friendly, like. I don't know for sure. Like, I mean, Irish and Scottish aren't real. I'm like a Gaelic-inspired, regional dialect type friendly person. And if you cross me, I'll curse you till you die.
Oh shoot.
That's Mab's shtick.
Yeah.
Oh golly.
So, Mage knows this, but for those the uninitiated, there's a lot of classic Fey lore that I've put into this campaign. So if you haven't read the player doc, that's fine. But Mage also knows like the back of the back. Like he's been into the back room where part of this campaign in its original inception, it was very goofy and very dark, but it was inspired simultaneously by that very terrible Jeremy Renner Hansel and Gretel movie where you hunt witches, and 1998's Merlin, where there is Queen Mab, and she's fabulous, queer icon for sure. Just absolutely love her. But if you haven't seen the 1998 Merlin, go watch it. I think it's on YouTube.
It's very good.
I think the whole thing is there. It's really good. It's so solid. The practical effects are very tight still.
It's both genuinely good and camp good. Like
yeah.
Like you laugh at the bad parts, but also overall it is a good experience.
Good experience. Everyone is giving 110% to this project. It's got
Like
Sam
Rocky Horror?
Neill in it. Yeah,
It's similar vibe. Yeah. I mean, it's not the same tone.
I consider Rocky Horror to be like good, and bad, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both.
It's got Sam Neill in it. It's got Helena Bonham Carter in it. I forget who plays Nimue, but a lady with a beautiful voice whose name escapes me right now. I think Isabella Rossellini? I think it's Isabella Rossellini. It's Isabella Rossellini. Anyway. It's got a great cast. Anyway, that's a side bit. So if you those two movies for this campaign, who wants to next about who they are and if they have a character or not?
Yeah, I can go next. My name is Gareth. I've been playing D&D off and on for close to 30 years, and I am playing Elberin, the half-elven paladin. I was left on the doorstep of a church of Eos and was raised there. And became a paladin, and I adventure to kind of get out there and spread as much good as I can over as many people as I can. Maybe convert a few,
Love it.
That's me. Sorry, I don't have a tangent.
Oh, no worries.
What?
I know.
Yeah,
I came
Necro,
unprepared.
Yeah, do we have alignments? Or we no alignments? Like,
if you guys want to do alignments, that's fine. I'm hoping we have at least a copacetic party where you at least get along. The premise
it's not necessarily intrinsic to the campaign setting.
Oh, what? I can't be
No,
chaotic evil.
You
I'm
can
neutral
be
good because I'm boring.
I mean, I honestly, and since it's both under the Wizards umbrella, I much prefer giving yourself a color pairing or a color triad for Magic the Gathering. I think it's choice.
Ooh, yes.
I much prefer shards, wedges, and guilds.
Oh no, I don't know what any of that means.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We just like peeled back another layer. So
I was
You
with
need a
you when you
periodic
said
table
Magic
for
the
this man.
Gathering, and then you mentioned wedges, and then I was just gone.
That's what they
it-
need. They need a D&D periodic table. Is what they need.
Honestly, we won't get into it a ton. But if you can be whatever alignment you want to be, for the setup, I want you all to know each other and be part of the same adventuring guild. That will just be the easiest cohesion to get this ball rolling. Where we're probably doing this as a one shot more than as a long standing thing. If
Yeah,
we
'cause
were doing
we're-
it as a long-standing thing, we would have like a session 0 and a session 0.5 where we delve into like your backstories, how you met, how you get together. We'd RP the hell out of it. Where we don't have that, y'all are part of an adventuring guild, and somehow you work together. So if you have very disparate alignments, tell me how that works, and we're good.
Fair.
Bold of
Yeah.
you to assume that I'm not chaotic evil.
You have made one good character to my knowledge.
I've made a couple.
Proof? Okay, sure. I want proof, but that's cool.
I want the receipts, Necro.
I want the receipt because the last campaign I played in, you did fireball a lot of people that could not escape.
Well, yeah, because they couldn't escape.
I wonder.
That's not a thing that good people do, or even neutral people. That's not a good person thing.
Oh no, Rat. I mean, Rat was not a good person. He was a good person
A man
hundreds
named
of years
Rat,
before.
not a good person.
It was Curse of Strahd. Everyone became like a little evil near the end.
I mean, that's just how it has to go. To be.
Yeah, I originally played a character who like came into Barovia with everybody else, and he was like a bad like mercenary, like just a bastard, just an evil man to begin with. And then like as we got like a little bit into the campaign, I was like, this is the wrong vibe. Like I need to be someone who can like lighten up the dread that's going on, and like this guy's just not doing it. So I like had him out of the party, but then I had to come up with a character who would be in Barovia already. So I came up with this gnome named Rat, and his whole deal was he came into Barovia hundreds of years before with like a different adventuring party, including like his sister, and they were basically all slaughtered. And he was just there, like he was tagging along with like this paladin order who came in to like destroy Strahd, and he was just the bard who was gonna like regale the world with the tale of their victory over the vampire. And he slaughtered them all, and then he basically like told Rat to run. Like he called him Little Mouse and made him run. That's where he got the name Rat. And he would cling on to all the adventuring parties that Strahd lured into Barovia, and then watch them all die.
I delighted in Rat, and I think my favorite moment, because Rat, you played him to be, and his story made him be a coward, and so it was during the final fight. You would learn the spell a while ago, but you only cast it against Strahd when you guys were doing the final showdown, and you cast heroism, and you cast it, I think, yourself.
Yeah.
Very, very choice. It accurate fact that you were. It was so good. It was so well timed.
Yeah, I had that
So, yeah.
planned for a long time.
No. Those moments are delicious. So yeah, Tyler and Scott, you guys haven't had a chance to really dive into this a whole bunch, I don't think.
Yeah, well,
but-
I was sort of gonna wait until, everybody else had made their characters, or see where maybe I could fill in.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the campaign is written, but we will adjust things based on your party. That is just if you're all playing paladins, things might be a little harder for you because I'll make them harder. But
Everybody go Red Mage.
I did. Done.
you did.
Speaking of which, what about you, Tyler? What do you?
I guess personal background first. I got into D&D probably way after most of you. It was like 20. Necro might remember, because the first time I got any experience with any tabletop was he was running a Pathfinder game, and he was also using the Spheres of Power module for it, and it was the most complicated thing I had ever seen.
Yeah.
I
More
think I
complicate
kind of-
something complicated.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
that was my introduction to tabletops. And then shortly after that, I was in a campaign that Scott hosted for 5e, and it was like, oh my god, this is so much simpler. And then, but I liked both, and I think that was shortly before the pandemic happened.
Wait, was
Yeah.
the Kingdom of White game your first tabletop game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
wow.
that was my
Yeah,
first
the
time
Kingdom
ever
of White
playing any
game-
tabletop.
The Kingdom of White game, when I started the 2 groups, it was the first game for like 4 people.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I didn't know
that was my introduction to it. What a place to start!
Yeah.
A complicated system with a complicated thing latched onto
pure
it.
chaos.
We
I know,
our
but I loved it.
our Spheres of
um,
Power game didn't finish, but I loved it because I felt like level 3 I was broken in half.
Mhm.
Yeah. No,
Um,
Christian, we were in the same group, right? For
Yeah,
the Spheres
Yeah.
of Power game.
Yeah.
Because I was
Two of my
playing
favorite
Lucian,
characters I've ever created
of the
were
gay
inside
pirate
Spheres of
crew,
Power.
Dauntless.
The gay pirate crew. Oh, I forgot about the
Yeah.
gay pirate crew.
How? Well,
When
for
you're
me, it
just
was
surrounded
Tuesday.
Yeah.
For you, it's a novelty. For me, I'm like a gay pirate crew. Yeah, it's every day.
It's every day. It's every day.
I mean, they were loud enough to echo through history. I'm not gonna lie.
They've actually never. There's never been a moment in history where they haven't been around. They're
Yeah.
the one constant throughout.
They are.
Rising
They
following.
they
It's
do
very
exist
clear.
in the current iteration because I had the 2 games and then one of them fell through because of a bunch of scheduling issues and Gareth jumped over to the group that persisted for a
Yeah.
little while with his same character, which was fun.
Yeah, my beacon of sanity.
And then the pandemic happened, so that campaign died as well.
Mm.
And then like mid pandemic, I guess. I got based on Tyler, I think was the impetus for it.
Wait, what? What was based on me?
You were the one who was like, "Oh man, I'd love to play like in the Kingdom of White again. That game was fun." Like I
Oh,
think
yeah!
you're the one who was like, "I'm going to actually like get a group to like hire Necro professionally to run it." Cuz
Oh, cool.
I'm a professional
I wanted
D&D,
to- I wanted to
DM.
start it up again.
I
Yeah.
should have
I
mentioned
knew you
that
were
at the
doing it
beginning.
professionally, but that's cool. That's cool. I love
Um,
Even pay people to do this game.
Yeah, that was
yes.
when I was. That was
Once
when I
it's
was
out
working
and I
at
have it.
BioVectra.
that. Hey, as soon as it becomes published.
Yeah.
But Tyler was like, "Let's do that." And so now there is a current Kingdom of White group going on.
And it's so good.
And they haven't gone to South Shore, but the Dauntless still exists, and that crew still exists on it.
I can't wait to go there after we finish fighting nothing and lose.
Oh yeah, it's
Are you against a gazebo?
yes.
I win. I wish you were against the
Alexi
gazebo.
Alexi the shapeshifter, who has wild magic, used his divination magic and got wild magic and saw that there were enemies on the edge of his perception at all times. After the thing that he was discerning was if there were any shapeshifters around. So I just made him sense that everything around him is showing up positive for being a shapeshifter.
Uh-oh.
No.
Oh.
Robotic.
Oh.
Oh no.
It's
Oh,
Alexi.
no.
It's
There we go.
Alexi getting at him.
But yeah, basically Alexi, since he was divining for shapeshifters and had that happen, started seeing every object in the room as a shifter that was an enemy. So he turned into an air elemental, went into a tornado form. He's like, "Don't worry, guys, I'm gonna get all the shifters in the room." And he just started sweeping the contents of this poor dwarf's room all over the place.
Oh God.
Unironically, the last 2 sessions, I have not had to prep anything because the party has been fighting themselves.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
we've been fighting no one, and
They've just been
losing.
wild magicking themselves
losing.
into and out of
losing.
situations.
It's so good.
My boyfriend just brought me a place of sushi, so this has gone from a D&D stream to a mukbang. Mukbang?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I think it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
mukbang.
mukbang.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that now.
It's the most
We-
disgusting looking
Mukbang.
word for eating.
It really is a disgusting sounding
are.
word for eating, but
I mean,
sure
maybe
it's
for
fine.
you guys.
I'm so excited. I'm starving. I wasn't hungry when this started, and now now I'm famished.
Although,
Uh,
I kind of want there to be a McDonald's
starving?
one
I'm
that's just a
gagged.
McBong.
the McDonald's.
A
A
McBong?
McBong.
A
Don't Google it.
McBong. Oh God.
Let's see, can I? Oh, I can.
But anyway, so yeah, and then that was my introductions to the tabletoping. I've enjoyed playing both systems since then, whenever I can. And in terms of this campaign, I'm going to be playing a high elf bard
Sweet.
named Lewin Alabaster. And
Lewin.
Lewin.
I love that name.
And-
That's beautiful, beautiful name.
Thank you. Oh no, don't put me in the upper left corner, Necro. No. Oh, that's the worst.
Oh,
Anyway, he's screwing with the stream. Anyway, and background wise, I think it's just been it's probably some from a kind of a well-to-off family somewhere. Just like I don't want that responsibility, and just basically ran off with a circus or something. So he's very, very laid back, very kind of chill. Yeah.
Cool.
And that's me.
Love it. Scott, did you want to spitball some of the character ideas you had?
Sure. My name's Scott. I've played D&D forever, probably like
Before it even existed.
before. Yeah, exactly. I was fighting dragons way before we had books.
It was based on you.
Yeah.
oh, that's no good.
Books were made of stone. They were heavy as hell. Yeah, I've been playing D&D for probably like 30 years, 30 some years, I guess.
wow.
I played in
Literally
in-
longer than some of my audience has been alive.
Yeah, me and Scott started playing together.
Yeah,
More or less.
Garrett's father sort of got him into D&D, and then he had the D&D books, and so we were like, oh my god. Actually, I was looking at that. As I'm in the process of moving, I'm starting to move all my D&D books, and I have so many. Like it's like most of my stuff
Why do you keep the
is
older
either
editions you don't play?
I have just every book. And same thing with my board games. I think I own most of my stuff is board games and books. I think these D&D books.
That's bad things to own, honestly.
Yeah. I think the last time I played, no, not last time I played D&D, but maybe I was not a player, I guess, but I played in your campaign, Christian. I was Lazara.
Love Lazara.
Yeah, she was extremely fun to play. And that was a really fun campaign.
Oh, thank you.
That was a really good time. Yeah,
Oh,
everything
shucks.
it came together quite well. I'm also glad that I stuck to my guns, where I'm like, you know what? This is a sky campaign with like flying. I'm gonna be a barbarian. I'm gonna be a melee barbarian.
How did
And I'm
that
gonna be a
go?
frenzied barbarian, right? And I'm gonna take the tavern brawler feat, which I do not recommend.
I mean,
At least in its current form, it's not that great.
it paid off in the long. You jumped off your
Oh,
dragon to
Well, I
beat
used-
people to death so many times.
Yeah, and I used bolts to kill other kobolds. It was great. One of the ideas I had for but I don't think I'm gonna go this way. But one of the ideas I had was a fighter that I was playing a similar character in Worlds Without Numbers, where this character is just an extremely violent person, but he's been tied to one of the party members. And he sort of like is, I don't know if you guys ever seen The Expanse before or read the Expanse books. Just long story short, he's basically like tied to a character, and they sort of lead him, right? So he will kill unless you tell him not to, right? Like his always default will be like, yes, I'm definitely gonna do that, right? The other character I had idea was for a rogue type character. Who would probably be a criminal. And again, I like the idea of maybe being tied to one of the characters, that I'm there because of something maybe I did, and they're there, like maybe Garrett's character, because you're like a paladin or something like that. It's like you got me out of jail, you know what I mean, and it's sort of looking after me, right?
You're
Yeah.
gonna be Gareth Squire.
So
well,
you're,
one of
so
the
you're
one
gonna
of the-
you're gonna be able to steal the mutant powers of other mutants by touching them.
yeah, of course, yeah, of course, yeah. You know, Shug, you know. That character idea, actually, I thought of an idea where he or she likes to, like, one of their shticks is they like to get into go to dangerous places and leave their mark behind. It's like graffiti or whatever, right? And they're also maybe like a political, like they just graffiti against the establishment. Oh, like how is the campaign settings like leaders, like the kid, like are they well looked to? Like there's obviously like war and stuff going on, so
Well, we can get into a little bit of the world building stuff. So, not everybody read the player doc. So, Alexandria itself was founded initially by a woman by the name of Sarah Alexander. She was a poor peasant farmer, and all of what is now modern day Alexandria was disparate city-states. A bunch of barbarians came down from the mountains and ravaged her village, Boudica style, and she took up arms and made a pact with Eos and drove them out of her lands. And then once she had done that, she actually started conquering the other city-states and unified the continent. She has a mixed legacy because of that, because she was at first a liberator and then became a conqueror. And she also became kind of a censor too. So Eos, for a while during Sarah's lifetime, was the sole deity. And previously, Alexandria had worshipped a caste of archfey. So they are, I didn't traipse around in the domain of deities more so. People regarded archfey as their deities. So a lot of the smaller religions were pushed to the brink and just exterminated, whereas some of the larger religions really rankled at this oppressive society. On her deathbed, she recanted, and in so doing, revoked her her monotheistic beliefs and reinstituted the worship of what is now called the worship of the Seven. Technically speaking, church and state are separate. Alexandria is matriarchal, so it's always ruled by queens. And the church is ruled by a figure known as the Holy Mother. The church, generally speaking, needs to work well with the queen, and if they don't jive, generally speaking, the country falls to pieces pretty quickly. And the seven archfey that people now revere are primarily Eos, the archfey of Dawn, the Verdant Fields, a harvest entity, the Lady of the Lake, also called Vivian.
So, that was another character idea I had, was using that god. But I wasn't sure about the spellcasters, because I was like, well, maybe I'll be a cleric if, you know what I mean, we don't have like another healer or whatever. But I guess it doesn't. I mean it really
doesn't. Melee battle cleric.
Yeah. Like, that's what I was thinking. Right?
You can do whatever you'd like. The priesthood of the Fae ranges from wizards to warlocks to clerics themselves to druids. Of course, the caster, the archetype of a priest of.
I was thinking of that drowned, and she like washes up, and like the god like saved her or whatever, like in the lake.
Sick, yeah. That's love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
The Lady of the Lake is also the most like go with the flow type, like flow like water. Very hippy dippy, but I love her. She also is a patron of healers and midwives, and she has a consort known as the Horned King. So he is a deity of wilderness. If you were familiar with Wicca, very much like a dilution of the father figure, the antlered god, the horned god. He transforms, turns into a stag. Most people that worship him are either woodsmen or woods people or druids or people who live off the land. There is Mab, Queen of the Fae. And despite the name Queen of the Fae, she is not Queen of the Archfey. She is just Queen of the Fae Woods, which is if you're looking on your map, I can ping it here, this giant forest near the lake where the Lady of the Lake has dominion. Mab is probably the most active in the world, where she is very antagonistic about the orthodoxy that pushed her religion to the brink. And she is sought after by people because she is the mistress of magic. So wizards that study in Theros seek her counsel, and political leaders might risk going into the Fey Woods to seek an audience with her. She's very present. She doesn't always get involved, but she has opinions and she makes them known. She is both the dark and the light sides of magic. And she is pretty liberal with her followers, provided they worship the old ways. Following that, there is Pan the Piper. So he is a spirit of the woodlands. He is brother to the Horned King. He is a patron of the arts and music and just the worldly pleasures of the world. And there is, from the north, there is Oberos, the Mountain King. So he is more of like a steadfast, hardy warrior archetype. People who are warriors often pray to him for his favor. He demands a hard lifestyle from people. And he's also the patron of ogres and trolls. Because in classic myth, those are also a type of fae. And where are we at? Pan, Horned King, Oberos, Mab, Lady of the Lake, Eos. We are at the Morrigan. So the Morrigan is more of the mystery deity. Her counterpart, if you're familiar with classic D&D, would probably be the Raven Queen, where she speaks in riddles and prophecies and omens. Her will isn't necessarily known, but she always brings change with her. She has a bit of dominion over life and death. She appears on battlefields washing the clothing of wounded soldiers. She appears before people to leave them strange gifts. She is also somewhat a deity of war to a certain degree. But her actual worship within the Church of Seven is probably the least, because she isn't necessarily quote unquote reliable. She is mystery and omen and the future and dark tidings, but she also has a gentle side too. None of the deities are outright evil. They just have darker and lighter aspects, very much akin to nature spirits and classic fae. Where the campaign begins, you guys will be part of an adventuring guild on your way to the town of Ravensburg on the southern tip of Alexandria. I put a little marker in Roll20, which all of you can move, so have fun with that. That has that is your
Ravensburg.
So I guess my one stipulation would be that you know each other and you've worked together before, and you are level 1, so it's not necessarily you're not necessarily like famous people or prominent adventurers, but you have taken on a pretty low bid for the request from Mayor Phineas Cromwell from Ravensburg, who is desperate to find missing children.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
My God.
Answer, daily double.
How swarthy is Phineas Cromwell's mustache?
You don't know, you haven't met him yet. Better only.
Business side note, character, but I'm writing his name in TikTok, and he's in Sir Bard.
God.
I both love and hate that, given my current life that lives exclusively on social media to promote this thing. So, I love it, but I hate it.
Have you done any dancing? Have you danced to promote your Kickstarter?
He did talk about that.
I mean, again, I I will thirst trap if I have to get this thing to the finish line. I don't care. I am selling my soul every day on social media to make this work. Please support my Kickstarter. Oh my god.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Subscribe. God damn it. I stole that wholesale from a drag queen. I'm sorry.
There's a link to the Kickstarter in the chat. I'll add one to my channel description, but I'm not going to do that right now because if I open my stream while I'm streaming, the stream dies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just creates an infinite feedback loop where it collapses reality.
Well, it also just eats up all my bandwidth.
yeah, it consumes all the internet and we all die.
I can't let that happen again.
Gotcha.
It was such a downer not existing the last time it happened.
I'm going to quickly step away and grab some water.
Sure.
Oakley doke.
You would.
So that's the pre-roll of the campaign. The conquests happened about 500 years ago. So they are the history of Alexandria, but of course that has long-term repercussions. So the church went from like really stringent monotheism to now accepting this pantheism. It obviously, we have experience with Christianity. Schisms happen, so we've got little cults devoted to their individual, very specific patrons. A lot of the country is still divided religiously, even though there is a main body of power. Yeah, so that's like the cultural background-ish of what went on. Some people view Sarah as a conqueror and brute. Other people regard her as a savior figure.
Just like Jesus.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Actually, there was a time in history when the barbarian, like the Vikings, had a Jesus-like figure.
There was a time in history when
It was basically
Jesus was a
war
Viking
Jesus.
and raided Ireland.
No, it was basically like War Jesus. Like it was the idea. It was almost like a War Jesus. It was weird.
Yeah, his name was Odin.
Odin, aka War Jesus.
AKA Gandalf the Grey.
One of my favorite things, and I'm going to adopt it in future campaigns, is epithets for gods, because I love
yes.
that Greek that
Oh
Greek
yeah,
aspect.
epithets are great. Yeah, that's my favorite part about Greek mythology.
Because
The
like
epithets.
Aphrodite is amazing, and she wasn't like super worshipped in Sparta, except for where she was Aphrodite Aria, which was like sex and war. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, because she was basically just Ishtar, who was also
Yeah,
like sex fertility.
I was going to say, you can basically trace like a pure through line from like Ishtar to Aphrodite. There's an earlier god that you can trace to be Ishtar too, but I forget her name. There's
Was
like
it
a,
the
it's just a
Babylonian
straight
one?
line
Yeah.
through history. One of the most consistent that we have.
I don't remember the Babylonian.
And we had Venus. When the Romans got her, they had like Venus Genitrix and Venus Pandemos and like Venus there was another one. There were like three, like Venus of the common people, Venus of like sexual desire, and like Venus of the love of like the celestial love or the love of conquest, which we love the love of conquest.
Yeah, Pandemos is like the crazy in love, like the obsessive, like everything is about the other person that you're in love with.
Yeah,
that
something
specific
like
thing
that.
is one of them. That's Pandemos.
So yeah, back to the world building and the campaign stuff. We've got a couple places outlined on the map. You guys will be starting off in the very small town of Ravensburg. The campaign will start on your way to Ravensburg. If you're not from there, you probably haven't been there before because it is a small farming community. Other places your characters might have been from, I've got the main towns outlined on the map. So first and foremost is the holy city Alessa. It is both the seat of power of the capital and of the church. So the Church of Seven has its cathedral here, as well as the seat where the queen rules from.
And it can move any number of spaces orthogonally or diagonally.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Now, funny you should mention that. So I've played in the world of Alexandria for so long, and we played game in it for I was forever DMing, and in one start campaign, very Fate Zero inspired, you bring in characters from the past history. They're summoned to defend the world. I was like, how do I up the ante even further? The castle and the church got up and became a mech that the players were piloting.
Oh god,
it was dumb. It was like
in
welcome
whichever direction they chose.
in whichever direction they chose. Like somebody operated the legs, somebody operated the arms, somebody operated the cannons. It was a dumb. We were basically playing an anime, a hard anime D&D campaign, and that was like everything in here is got to be anime greatest hits. We need a mech, we need dragons, we need a huge anime sword fight, we need the power of friendship to overcome, and like that was it. That was
That's
the
great.
campaign.
Did you have a beach
It was-
episode though? Because that you need one of those.
Technically, yes, but it was during combat, so.
I have a role playing system. I forget where I got it. I got it for free, I think off of Itch.io. It is just called Beach Episode. And you drop it in. You drop it into an existing campaign when the players are like want to do something different, want to have a break, want to have a little like a beach episode, like a little like social interaction type of thing. And everyone decides like how silly or sexy or whatever it's gonna be, and it's great. It's just this little rules light thing, and I haven't gotten to run it yet.
Oh, that's cool. You should use
I
that. I want to know what Bale does on the beach.
When you said beach episode, I thought you meant like Normandy.
Whoa, no. So Beach Episode is an archetype episode in anime where the characters are completely removed from like the main plot and they just have like a delightful bonding experience on the beach.
Yeah, it's usually like just a character focused.
But you could go with Normandy.
Oh yeah, no, I guess you could.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We're not saying you can't.
That's
Yeah.
that's the
It's not
inverse of
really-
the beach episode where
Yeah.
everything but the relaxing
You know,
moment
it's
is
a normal.
Normandy.
It's like a fun slice of life anime, and then the beach episode is the Siege of Normandy, and then the next episode, no consequences.
Judo Beach, the high school years.
DXD day.
So yeah,
Norman
the
D&D.
Mech City. It's not actually the mech has been removed for
Poor
this iteration of the campaign.
Oh.
I have made the campaign so that anyone can run it, and you don't need rules for mech. I'm not saying there is no mech, but there is no mech.
Oh,
You're not
that is
saying
up
there
to the-
can't be a mech.
Thank you. Yeah, the DM can put a mech in the castle if they want to put a mech in the castle.
That's
So
the
there's a
secret.
mech
That's the secret rule
somewhere
of
on
every
this
D&D
map.
setting.
Okay, let's
I'm
start
changing my
digging. Let's
character
start
to an
digging
artificer.
Yeah,
That is-
we'll
that
start
is-
digging
mech.
in grid pattern, and eventually we'll find it.
Up north is White Fang, which is the last frontier of Sarah's empire. She drove all of the invaders back into the mountains, and White Fang stands guard over that border. Though there has been peace since the conquests happened, so it is here as a reminder and as an outpost, but it is still a relatively large community, though it is smaller than some of the others. Counterclockwise, we have the town of Westgate and the Westgate Monastery, once a huge trading hub because of its proximity to the ocean. One of their main exports is stained glass, and there is a prominent monastery once a pagan grove, then devoted to a Church of Eos, then back to the Church of Seven. It has since been displaced as the seafaring capital of the country with the construction of Tharos, which down here is one of the it's the second largest metropolitan area in the country, with the only school for mages, or official school for mages. So if you want a formal education, it also acts as a university. And this is where most prominent mages study, though there are, of course, hedge wizards and other people who learn more natural magic. Sadril is another port town. It is on a more northern front of Alexandria, and it sees a lot of trade coming in from the northern countries. It is an old town with a rich history, but it is currently a walled city, so its growth has been limited. And you guys are starting in Ravensburg, a tiny farming community, both near the border with the southern country of Bronte and the Feywood, and halfway between Theros, or kind of halfway, again, it's triangles are hard, between Theros and the Holy City. A bit further away from the Holy City than anything, but still. So that's the setup. That's the whole of it.
So these lines are rivers, right?
Where?
You are skills.
Oh no.
So odd knobs and what have you. The most generic thing it could be Whether you're from Alexandria or not is entirely up to you guys, but you will be headed to Ravensburg when the campaign begins. So you guys, again, all I need from you is that you know each other.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
So how are people feeling with this verbal dump I have given all of you?
I personally think I need to look more into Pan.
Yeah?
Because that's, I mean, it actually kind of worked out because when for the instrument I chose a pan flute.
Ooh.
And I am a
Fantastic.
bard, so like I could probably do something with that.
Well, I definitely graduated from the Mage Academy in Theros, and that's where I got my powers.
Is that what you're telling everybody?
Nerd!
Is that what you're telling everybody? Because you're a warlock, not a wizard?
Hey, whoa, hey. Warlocks
Hey.
don't exist.
There is no
Sounds
war
to me
in
like
Bossing,
somebody's
eh?
splitting hairs.
You're like my kobold warlock that just insisted, like, nah, I'm a wizard. I'm the best wizard. What's a... Oh, God.
Gotcha.
So
think
I
everything's
do
good
have a
for me.
question about Mob.
Yeah, sure.
With like there's because she's like both sides of magic, so like I wouldn't have to like hide that I worship her or anything, right?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
There is she is recognized by the Church of Seven. She is one of the primary deities. She rankles that she has to be included in it. She would prefer her own cult and the old ways because she's older than 500 years, so she remembers a time before being oppressed. But she begrudgingly accepts it, and people do accept her as well. Now, if you encounter someone who is staunchly orthodox, like
I kill them.
originals, well, I mean,
Just like in real life.
if you encounter
no.
someone staunchly orthodox, they might not like that you primarily worship Mab over primarily worshiping Eos, but that's just how people with different religious beliefs interact. Sometimes they just have preferences. And religion
Strong
is
opinion.
strong opinions. Religion is complicated. Everyone
Yeah.
has the right to worship who they want.
I mean,
This
it's
is
fine if you
D&D.
want to get quote unquote power from your quote unquote silly made up god.
Well, speaking of which, I was thinking that like if I do make a cleric, right? Obviously, this would be more for a longer sort of campaign, but I'm thinking that maybe I like because as a cleric, do you need a dedicated god?
I think technically, I mean, I think that's the division that they made between paladins and clerics in 5th edition, where paladins don't need a deity per se; they need an oath.
Clerics can worship a concept.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I worship the concept of grilled cheese sandwich.
I worship the concept of belief in a god.
Well, the idea I had was that she drowned. Like if I was going to go with the whole cleric thing,
Yeah.
is she drowned, right? Or she almost drowned, I guess, and she came back, and she thinks it's Vivian, but it's something in the lake that's giving her powers that is not good, right? Like she thinks she believes it is, but like she gets weird visions, and she's like, God, that's a weird thing to do. Okay, I guess God.
So, like, because now, if you're a cleric, your power comes from the faith itself. So your belief that it would be that would make a lot more sense with warlock, like thematically.
Yeah, well, I was thinking sort of a warlock thing, but I don't want to be a warlock necessarily. Right?
Okay. Because I mean, if you're believing in Vivian and you're believing in her strongly, the Lady of the Lake, like that's just how clerics function.
Yeah.
But
The other
also,
idea I had
she
was
she
that-
could. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, continue.
I was gonna say she could be giving you strange visions because at the end of the day, even though she is a neutral being, she is still a fae, and people don't. How you interpretate the signs and the omens of the fae is entirely up to your mortal mind.
Well, the other idea I was sort of milling about was that I was a follower of Vivian, and I drowned, and I came back as a follower of Morrigan.
That is sick. That is dope, tasty.
Because
Ooh.
it's like, how could this like how How could
This happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like wouldn't really resurrect you. She'd just keep you from drowning. Period. Morrigan is the one who bars the gate for you there.
Yeah, so I drowned and then was like, well, screw Vivian, screw your other gods. Like,
Why'd you let me drown, you dumb lake?
What's the point of
Dumb bitch.
worshiping the Lady of the Lake if I'm gonna drown in a lake?
I'm sorry, your lady was in another lake.
That's like you drown in like the ocean. She's like, sorry, bro, I
Yeah,
can't
no,
help you.
sorry.
Or
No,
that-
no,
or when I'm
technically,
younger,
that
it's
was
like-
a, that was a
yeah.
sorry, that was a
Which-
pond.
like a
That was a
lake, dude?
harbor off the
Shut up.
lake.
Should I learn to swim? Nah, God will save me.
Lady of the lake, take the wheel.
glug, 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 glug.
Glub, glub, glub.
Absolutely love that.
So,
So I think I'll
so
probably
how
do
many
Morrigan.
how many sessions are we thinking of doing for this?
It will. It will depend on you guys and how quickly you resolve things in Ravensburg and how they're going. I would expect 2 to 3 sessions. That would be my estimate. Hey, if you guys are really efficient and like this doesn't jive, you might solve it in 1, but I doubt it because there's like combats and stuff that are
Because
pre-planned.
you doubt our capabilities.
I mean,
I don't doubt your
I'm
capabilities.
here.
I doubt the efficiency of any Dungeons and Dragons party because
Listen,
experience.
If there's
That is
one thing,
completely
there's one
justified.
thing. If there's one thing I know about Dungeons and Dragons players, it's that they burn through your prep like wildfire.
The
If there's
laser
one-
sharp
We'll all be
focus.
fighters. We'll all be fighters. We'll get to level 2. We'll all have We'll have like what was it? Surge.
Action
Action
surge.
surge.
Yeah, we'll all go
Action
twice.
Yeah. We'll have 8 actions a turn. It'll be fine.
So
They will
there,
take a short rest.
there is combat in the introductory adventure. There's obviously, but there is also a lot of investigative work. So if you want to take the approach of burning everything down and fighting everything, you totally can. It might be a lot harder for you than if you have a blend of proficiencies.
Oh yeah, I'm going mostly skill monkey as a plan.
Cool.
See, Elberin just
think
has
part of
mostly
lore.
general benevolence on his side. He's not super smart, but he believes in God. So he's got that going for him.
And
He,
you know,
he lets God do the thinking for him.
Yeah.
I compare to
He's
my
a big
character.
believer in signs and omens.
delicious.
I'm a people
Signs
person.
instead of science. I
Yeah.
hate it.
Signance.
Scientist.
There
Nope.
you go.
1 second. I'm going to mute myself for 2 seconds.
That's 3 seconds. I did the math.
It hadn't even been 1 second when you said that. Stop gaslighting us all. Also, yeah, it has been way more
Listen,
than 3
I
seconds
will never
now.
stop gaslighting you all.
That's what somebody that would be gaslighting would say.
Stop gaslighting me. That you're gaslighting me all the time.
I have missed the gaslighting portion. Who is being gaslit by whomst?
Oh,
Gas-
Tyler said
Necros.
for me to stop gaslighting everybody, to which I responded, never.
We need to write it. Yeah.
Oh, you failed level 1 of gaslighting. You never admit that you're gaslighting if you're gaslighting someone.
Unless he's gaslighting us about gaslighting us all the time.
Well, I don't feel gaslit. Are you gaslit?
I don't think I know what gaslit means anymore. Does that
Gaslighting
gassy.
isn't real, it's something you made up because you're fucking crazy.
Oh no, not again.
Tyler goes to check the Wikipedia
That's what my horoscope
entry for
said.
gaslighting, and it's just like ellipses after ellipses.
It just comes
No,
up
it
with the
actually
page. The
says
page
a
isn't
crazy
real.
concept that some lunatic named Tyler in Nova Scotia came up with.
Do you all remember when you could just go in and edit Wikipedia articles and it was just copacetic,
yeah, right.
just
Yeah.
completely fine?
Okay,
Glad that
everybody's on the
stopped.
honor system.
Oh boy.
Sorry, I muted myself while I was chewing.
Dead air.
Like, for character
that-
create.
What?
Character creation, just average die roll, like for hit points, things like that. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'll let you guys use the honor system for your hit points if you want to take average or if you want to roll either or is fine. there is this particular quirk of Roll20 I have found that sometimes when you level up, it messes up your hit points. So average is probably easier just them. The way you'll be able to track does that to you. Using cools and core everything, you can use the Charactermancer in a lot of situations, not in all, which kind of helps prevent that. But just as a heads up, I cannot be trusted, and I use math. As for your stats, I'd say regular point buy would be what I would say. Just so that everyone has like the same baseline rather than trying to roll. Sorry, there's a cat on the stream now. Her name is Safi.
Ooh, bring the cat on. Cat tax.
The cat tax. This is my little girl Safi. She's 18 years young, and she's a precious little house gerblin.
That's adorable.
She doesn't really like
to explain.
Oh no, she hates it.
She's gonna jump up on the back of my chair because she likes the back of my chair and being on my lap. But she also might leave because I've now closed the door, which means she wants the door to be open.
Oh yeah, the cats don't give a shit about doors until they're closed, and they're like, I want to know what's on the other side of this.
Yeah. No, I was trying to explain to my father when I was playing. We were playing a Roll20 game over the pandemic. I ran Lost Minds of Fandelver for him and his old D&D group. So we ran that together, and I was trying to explain to them, like, make sure you know how to make your character, because if you just use the Charactermancer and Roll20, it's going to make mistakes, and then you're not going to know how to fix them.
Yeah. So you know what?
I can't complain too much because it did save my life during the pandemic. It is very convenient. It's free. They just pay you for upgraded features, but yeah, it has some quirks to it. I say often it is designed by people who are very good at like math and programming and not well designed.
Yeah.
It isn't designed by designers. It's designed by very smart, nerdy people who love numbers and Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, no, and I used it extensively over the pandemic. But yeah, exactly. Like, there's a few things, like especially like the Lost Mind of Fandelver module was good. My dad bought it for me and kind of paid for like a subscription, so we got the dynamic lighting and stuff like that. But then my brother tried to run a module, and the whole thing just didn't work at all the way it's supposed to. So, yeah, you get varying degrees of that with the modules as well.
So now does this work? No.
Necro is doing the right warlock thing of casting nothing but Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, classic.
Constantly at every opportunity.
So, if you're all
okay, that's just a description. It's not a macro. I get it.
Yeah.
No, there should be a means for you to click I think from your spell book, click Eldritch Blast to make it perform an attack roll. But not all the spells in Roll20 are set up properly for that, which is frustrating. There we go. Here, one-handed. So if you encounter that there's anything that you need to have set up, I can do it for you very quickly. If you just let me know. I know not everyone, again, has made their character in the setup yet, but when you get to that point, you're like, Christian, it's not working. I will fix. I
have my spells picked out. I have my level 1 spells picked out, but they don't seem to like autofill or draw from a pool on the spell page.
I will say, also keep in mind, so you guys can see my roll for the spear. It's automatically rolling with advantage, so you actually have to go into your character sheet and turn it off so it doesn't do that all the time.
Ooh.
I mean, or just
That's
take the first number.
Yeah.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah, you can always just take the first number, or I have... So I have it set up now that I can toggle advantage, so that shows up at the top of my character sheet, whether I'm rolling it with advantage, disadvantage, or just normally.
I'd say if it's default, just leave it. You don't have to finagle with it if you don't
Trip
want
and
to.
fall on
If
your
you want
spear.
to, go for it. But otherwise, we'll take the first number, and that way, the only time it comes an issue is if you have disadvantage and you roll a crit. It thinks you rolled a crit, and otherwise it's fine.
We can sort it out.
Yeah, I personally like it because then you don't have to go in and like finagle around with it when you have advantage. Like you just click once and like it's the first number.
Yeah.
Oh no, my sushi roll came apart. No.
Oh no.
I also muted myself and
Oops.
started talking at a certain
Didn't
point.
need to do that.
Still muted.
Edit.
Strength check. Strength check.
How do I edit?
Ah.
Oh.
Shit, there we go.
Checks in the chat.
I'm so much strong.
Are those
Somebody-
strength checks or strength saves?
How
I
do
don't
I
know.
how do I go back to the Mancer?
Looks like somebody's flexing.
Oh
How
yeah,
do I
no, those
edit
are just
this
all
thing?
flexes of different
Different intensities.
yeah, different intensities. So like the Nat 21 is just like the best flex of all time. Like then the 2, it's like fell.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
bodybuilder posing.
How do I edit my character again?
Here,
Arms.
I'm gonna go into your character. You are
Yeah,
Adventure
each of the
number
strength
4?
checks is just your it's changing your facial expression from like Vince McMahon to Ric Flair. Levels
just,
of, flex.
you should, if you're just Adventure 4, you should just be able to edit it. I just closed it and popped it open.
No,
Um,
I can't see
oh, no.
anything now.
Oh, I had it open. That's probably why. I'm taking your character from you.
Oh no.
I seem to
Yeah,
have created a
that is
blank
mine now.
spell.
Yes, you
Um,
can create spells. However, if you click the little eye that's at the top of your
Oh, there we
chat
go.
bar, you can type spell names. It should have all of the core spell names. It's a
Yeah.
little bit wonky, but you can drag them onto your character sheet to populate them.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry,
like that's
where
what I
did-
did with all of my equipment.
Where did you say that the list of spell names is?
At the top of the chat, there should be you will have a bit of a different interface than I do because I'm the DM, but there should be an eye.
Compendium.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
here we
compendium,
go. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite handy.
So you can search that for spells or equipment.
Why
Also
does it-
works.
Why does it not find hex?
It doesn't have all of them.
Yeah,
Well,
because it's
how
only
does it not
SRD.
have hex?
It's only SRD content.
So hex, I don't know why it doesn't have hex because that's in the core rule book.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
I
That's
can-
core
same
rules
thing, it
and
only has,
SRD
like,
are
a-
technically 2 different things, even though
Yeah.
like like not
Yes.
everything in the core rule book, like not everything in the
It's-
not the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Player's Guide. Not everything in the Player's Guide is actually considered SRD.
Yeah.
so
No,
like
it's the same thing. Like, there's not all the backgrounds in there, or like stuff
Yeah.
like that too.
Gotcha.
which if you're taking a background and you wanted to like make your own background, I'm fine with that. Like backgrounds give you what 2 skills, a little starting gold, and like
Some flavor thing.
some
that-
flavor ability that
usually-
won't come up if you can roleplay.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
The
You'll
Back
notice
to
the same thing if you
character
use,
character.
the character mancer, you might have
Yeah.
when you level up, it lets you do it if you input enough EXP to level up.
I can't see my character. I have to open my
I forget
window.
what.
Yeah, no, you'll notice the
spells
same thing when you level up and you have to pick a subclass. It only gives like kind of quote unquote default subclasses as well.
Yeah, the character mancer I feel is for the most part a trap, because it will only give you things
Oh.
that are not even just SRD. Like it gives you the stuff that is freely available online. So like fighter, for
Oh.
example, only gives you fighter champion as an option.
Yeah.
Or like if you try and pick feats, I think the only feat that's in there is grappler.
Yeah,
Yeah. Unless, of course, Christian wants to buy all of the different modules for Roll20.
I have not spent a dime on Roll20, and I feel a little
Yeah.
bad about it. I feel a little bad about it.
I wouldn't feel that bad about it. I have so like in the last little while I've resolved to never give Wizards of the Coast another dime. So I know Roll20 is not run by them, but you
I
know.
mean, I'll still buy module books. I don't know if I'm going to buy D&D 1, whatever they're calling. I like 5e, and if you have problems with it, I can just adjust things. Like when I'm DMing now, be like, well, how many times a day can you do that? No, you can do it proficiency times a day. There, you're fixed. And that
Yeah.
makes a lot of difference. I'm like, oh, we don't need a whole new system. I still haven't played enough of 5e to want a whole new system.
See, one of the things I did over the pandemic is I've just been looking at like other stuff, like especially indie games, and I'm just like, oh man, I vibe with this so much better than I do with like 5th edition D&D. So basically the point where I'm at now is it's like, if I am playing with friends who are like, I want to play 5th edition, I will absolutely play with them because I want to play stuff with my friends. But like, I'm not going to go to my way to like buy new books or do any of that kind of stuff.
He likes us. He really likes us.
It's true.
Oh no.
Again. And what domain should I pick?
I have a couple suggested ones in the character.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if, because they're not. I think the only one, knowledge, is the only one in the player's handbook.
That's not the only
yeah.
one in the SRD.
I guess that's true because death is a.
I was
going
gonna
to
say death is in the DMG.
Twilight is, I think, Tasha's.
Yeah, and Grave is Xanthar.
Yeah.
Death, especially if you've got the resurrection one, I think would be the most appropriate one. Which is technically core. Like, let's be honest, the DMG
Oh,
is
that's
core.
core.
Okay, if you're fine with that, yeah.
It's not player's handbook, but it's absolutely core.
Yeah.
Same as the
Firearms.
Is the Oathbreaker in the DMG as well?
Yeah,
that's the
because those were the two villainous character options. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I actually have not skimmed. I've looked through the 3.5 player Dungeon Master's Guide. I went extensively through the Pathfinder Dungeon Master's Guide, and I have not perused the 5e Dungeon Master's Guide nearly as much as I should have, because just the other day someone pointed out a rule to me that I had no idea existed, and it's amazing. It's amazing for melee characters. So apparently there's I need to look it up how you actually do it, but there is something that you can do during combat after you attack someone, where you mark them. And
What?
yeah, you just have to use the attack action, and then you mark them, and then they you get advantage on any attacks of opportunity that they provoke, and that attack of opportunity doesn't use up your reaction.
That's just in the DMG.
Yeah,
Huh.
I mean, I have to look it up to see.
I also missed that. I was going to tell you that there's not really much reason to peruse the DMG.
Oh yeah, no, there's a few
that's
like
news to me.
interesting alternate rulings in the DMG.
Perusing the DMG is how we won that what were they called? The competitive
Assault.
dungeon crawling.
Lair Assault.
Yeah, the Lair Assault. Because I looked through and I was like, what is a barrel of gunpowder? Rules is written.
Oh, yeah.
That's in the DMG.
Yup.
Don't
Yeah,
don't give
there's a lot
anybody
on my list.
don't ever give
There's a lot.
anybody a barrel of gunpowder.
No, there's not a lot of things that the Dungeon's Master's Guide or the Monster Manual can throw at you that isn't solved by powders or gunpowder barrels.
Are you having a hard time with your adding spells into here?
I accidentally made a spell that has nothing, and I can't get rid of it.
So there, you'll see under each spell level, there's a little lock icon. If you click the lock icon, that will unlock that level of spell, and you will be able to delete spells from that level.
Okay. So how do I add spells that aren't blank?
You will hit the little plus icon, and then it will add a bunch of details that you can use potentially. Depending on the type of spell it is, you might have to finagle this a little bit in order to get it to roll correctly. But otherwise, you can use the compendium to try to find most of your magic, depending on what magic you've taken. So I'm in Scott's sheet, I believe, and I just created a 6th level adjuration spell. So I'm gonna
Ooh, yeah.
I'm gonna unlock this, and I'm gonna delete it. When you changed screens, it changed screens for me too.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. I'm spying on you. I can spy on all of you.
How do we set our hit point maximum? Because I can seem to only edit my current, but it's got a spot for it. There it is.
Click it.
I found it's a very hidden text box.
Yeah, it's very small. It's a very small little baby text box.
Regardless of how we're doing HP, it's max at level 1, right?
Max at level 1 plus your con modifier.
So that's 8.
Oh, max hit points?
You get max at level 1.
I have 10 hit points. Come at me!
me!
How do I access the compendium to add spells?
If you there should be a little eye, an eye for information at the top of the the chat roulette, at the top of the chat stream in Roll20.
Oh! I put your face in front of that. Okay. Let me
Oh yeah,
move
this
that.
is super useful. This is super useful
Okay.
on the right hand side. Again,
Okay.
it won't have all spells, so like hex isn't in there. You have to manually input hex. But if you search up most spells and then you just drag and drop them onto your character sheet, it should auto-populate them as they should be.
Okay. Let's try
You
this.
will have to set what your casting stat is on your character sheet.
Oh, yeah. I think that automatically set it to charisma
Perfect.
because I thought I was being a board.
Wonderful.
That's playing a cleric,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, cool. I was gonna say, are we seriously all wisdom or charisma casters in this party?
Uh-oh.
That's my favorite.
Wait,
I love
Tyler,
charisma
oh
casters.
no, Tyler's a bard. I thought he was a rogue.
We got a bard, a paladin, a warlock,
Stop
and then
saying I'm a rogue. I'm never a rogue.
a bard, a paladin, a warlock, and then Scott, you are going cleric?
Yeah.
Love it. Cool.
Death cleric.
Hey.
Yeah, it hurts my heart. That there's almost
We
no
all
reason to
knew
play
this
rogue
where
in
that
this
this was going.
Yeah, it hurts my heart so much, but in 5e, there's almost no reason to play a rogue since there's bard.
I was gonna play a rogue. My first character idea. I wanted to be a rogue, but I was like, no, we have a paladin and a bard, and then now we have warlock. I was like, nah.
The best reason to play as a rogue is to dip as a tank, which is upsetting.
Yeah, just go rogue, man. Straight rogue.
I disagree entirely with the comment that there is no reason to play rogue because you have come so hard for my beloved arcane trickster. I am mad at you now.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
But see, that's what I mean, though, is a bard just does all of that, but also is a full caster.
A bard does not get an invisible mage hand that can pick locks and steal things and push people.
No, that's true.
There's also a feat from Tasha's now that makes mage hand better, which is
Yeah.
like
It's
like
broken.
genetic.
It's
Yeah.
so
it's
broken.
so good.
It's good. It's really, really good, but it's broken, in my opinion.
I've heard a lot of stuff in Tasha's and like that Strixhaven thing. It's like it might actually be borked. We're not sure.
I mean, it just makes casters stronger in a system where the casters don't need to be stronger.
Hey, so does 1D&D.
Oh god, my character sheet's a
aside
blank
from,
white sheet now. I don't know what I did.
You what?
Aside from any of the Wizards of the Coast being
Oh,
bastards,
that's
why I don't
that's
play
what makes
D&D.
it so powerful. Yeah. It's the whole shove thing that makes it the real spice.
Yeah, because rogues
Yeah.
can
And
do it as a
mage
bonus
hand
action.
that you can now mage hand at like 60 feet.
What the-
As a bonus action.
That's a
Yeah.
bonus act. And you get a stat increase. Oh my god.
Tyler, you said there was a problem with your character sheet?
I'm just refreshing the page and seeing if that works. I opened my character sheet and there's just blank white void.
Sometimes you need to pop it out. That's what was happening to me.
Yeah, I find it's a lot easier to deal with when it's popped out.
Yeah,
You'll-
I don't think I can drag spells to it when it's popped out though.
You can't.
No.
You will notice too, your character sheet has a bunch of different sections at the top. So character sheet, bio and info, abilities and attributes. If you're set on bio and info, it will just be blank, which sucks. I mean, you can edit it to add stuff, but character sheet's where you want to be, and then you can go core, bio, and spells from there.
Yeah, I didn't see core bio and spells for a while, like until like we're just messing with it around right now. I came in and like added some stuff last night and the night before, and I could not find where the spell list was.
Almost as if those tabs should be up at the top with the other tabs.
Yeah, it's almost that way.
Not designed by a designer.
Burgle.
I just closed somebody's character sheet. That might have closed it on them. I don't know.
Wasn't me.
Mine's still open.
Wonderful. I didn't affect anything.
That's what you all get for using D&D Beyond, lol. Thank you, chat. I personally normally use Owlbear Rodeo
Thanks, peer
because
pressure.
it's just small and
Owlbear.
it's just
so
functional.
good.
I don't
Yeah,
need to deal
it's
with
so
any
good.
sort of macros or anything, and people can do their character sheets on their own. To the wolves, I say.
I'm sorry. I just have experience with WoW 20.
Well, this is also good because
good,
like
yeah,
it's
it's
easy
good.
to get your camera in. I need to get
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to get like a capture of like just your camera and make it bigger, I think. But it's at least at the top.
No, Owlbear is good, but it is very bare bones compared to some of the other VTTs.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I just prefer I prefer a bare bones experience to like a lot of VTTs where they have really good functionality if I get in the weeds, but I'm running a game and I don't have time to get in the weeds.
So
Well,
I did... Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, after you.
I was just say I got into the weeds when I was in the middle of the Panini press, the pandemic, and so now I'm like, oh yes, I have all of Roll20. Like, look at this map. This map is in kilometers. It's not set. I got into the nitty gritty on all the maps you'll experience for the distances.
Yeah, exactly. It's good for that.
It's a hot to the capital. Wait. It's a couple days travel. The country is roughly the size of Switzerland, give or take.
I don't know how big Switzerland is.
Those
I just know it's smaller than Canada.
Scarfing
It's-
swine.
All I know is it's too big.
It's roughly the size of Alexandria,
Oh.
give or take.
Oh.
If there's
What's
any
a doggo? Oh, it's a big pupper. Well, what's a pupper? Small doggo.
You like dags?
You literally have a map in front of you that you could... Oh, actually, if you go to the right-hand side, you'll notice that there's a ruler icon. You can use that to trace distances in Roll20. There you go. Yeah, so now you can see how roughly the size of Alexandria translates to roughly the size of Switzerland.
Can I overlay a picture of Switzerland to scale on this?
No, but you can
No.
draw a picture of Switzerland.
Can you draw a picture of Switzerland?
I don't know what Switzerland looks like.
So in our when I was in high school, in our history of Canada class, the first assignment we had was draw a picture of Canada. Our teacher handed us all a blank piece of paper, and he was like mildly impressed by our class. He's like, oh yeah, most of you know the rough shape of Canada, and a lot of my other students don't. So that's why I start the semester this way. I think that was in 11th grade, and it is a shameful thing because he shows everyone.
Oh,
he showed everyone at the
amazing.
front of the class, like, look, does this look like Canada? No.
Please tell me someone just drew a maple leaf and said that's what Canada looks like.
Like there were a bunch of generic blobs, but I mean, that was 11th grade. It was a while ago, but like it has stuck with me. Like I need to know country shapes.
I had that happen in. I mean, it's a little bit less embarrassing, but it's still pretty embarrassing with my African studies.
Okay.
Say draw Africa. You should be able to draw Africa. It's
Yeah.
a fucking
It's like
triangle.
Waluigi's emblem, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's like an upside down L.
Oh my
Uh,
god! Do
the
not
continent.
say that Africa is shaped like Waluigi's emblem.
I mean, it's too late. I've already said it.
Well, thanks everybody. This has been a wonderful stream. We're about
Oh,
to get
no.
canceled.
Alexandria is like 1/16 the state. Wait, the size of the U.S. state of Georgia? That's not right. Is it? I don't know if that's true.
I don't know. It's roughly the size of Switzerland. You tell me.
I don't know
It's
enough
the same
about
as Georgia.
geography to
Thank you,
discount it.
thank you for the follow, peer pressure. This is going to be, it's going to be this Monday, as in like tomorrow,
Yes.
and then the next 2 or 3 Mondays, depending on how we get through the campaign.
Yeah. I mean, if everybody loves it, then maybe longer too.
Yeah,
Who's
then
to
maybe
say?
longer. That'll at
Maybe-
least
maybe
be
we'll-
showing off the Kickstarter, though, which I'll link in the chat again. Oh no, I haven't copied it. I have to copy it again.
No, it's all
That's
ruined.
that's the text for boosting Hex. Something
got-
which no one should ever do.
I got it, boss.
Thank you.
I cast Hex at 9th level.
That's my favorite thing about you, Gareth. You call me boss. You do things that are useful for me.
I mean,
What am I?
now to backpedal, I can see niche scenarios where maintaining concentration on hex for 8 hours would be very good. Very good.
The problem is that you shouldn't have hex on your spell list at those levels because your spell list is so tiny.
However, now hear me out. You're a warlock. The big bad gets away from you. You take a lovely little short rest. And you are back at full spell slots while still maintaining concentration on hex.
I mean, it's a great way to ensure that person's one day is just the worst day of their life.
They're going to have a very bad time.
Fail every strength check of all. Every charisma check will be at disadvantage.
Can you rest while maintaining concentration?
Yes, why wouldn't you?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's too taxing on your brain.
No! If getting
the opposite of rest.
Getting hit by a sword doesn't break my concentration. I don't think reading a light book will break my concentration.
So, guys, what time are we playing this tomorrow?
I'm flexible with that, but I think we had said initially in our discussion around 6.
Okay. Yeah, perfect.
That's Atlantic time, NecroMage TV viewers.
I will keep everyone in the loop. I will
feel like exhausted after.
No. I don't care. Like, it has nothing to do with like getting online and stuff like that. Just getting my stuff from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll reiterate. I'm off work at 3:30, and I will be in the city. So if you need a hand,
okay, I will let you know.
Yeah. I have a small vehicle, but it can transport things.
It can transport D&D books.
It can transport a lot of D&D books and board games, which apparently is all we need to worry about, so we're good.
I think,
I'm gonna. That's the big thing.
Yeah. And most of the other things are just, like, it's not going to take any amount of time. Yeah.
It's always the small stuff that takes the most time.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I'm going to just take all the small stuff and put them in. I have these large tubs, so I'm just going to put them there and deal with it later. Anyway.
when I moved, just given the schedule of when I moved all my stuff on my small stuff on one day, and I think Mage, you were the only person that showed up to help me. And then the next day, I had like a roster of about 15 people help me move like 3 articles of furniture.
Yeah, I remember I showed up late to help you move by like an hour, and it was all done.
I moved a lot of the small stuff. You still helped. You did like 1 load. That's fine.
Yeah.
I was very efficient with my packing.
Okay, so if it's 2 a.m. now in Switzerland, and it's currently 9. Oh, thank you. You're also translating it.
Should I have the chat open? I should see what people are saying.
Sure thing, boss.
The only thing the rules say about spells and rest is you can't cast a spell during a rest, as far as I know. 1800 Atlantic time. What time is it in Switzerland time?
You definitely can't cast a spell during a rest.
No,
There's like a thing where you can like you can like
if you cast
do
X
weird
before the rest and then rest, you'd get your spell slots back.
Yeah.
And still be concentrating on it.
For like
Wait,
mage armor
Now,
things.
you know what some bullshit is? The that feat that can give anybody sorcerer points.
Yes, I love it. It's busted in half.
Oh, so you can just be a coffee lock?
Well, yeah, and you can just like if you have like the spell like say aid, you could just have it up all the time. Like, there are certain spells that you can just have up all the time because you can just as long as you have 1 sorcery point, because you can extend it and then go to sleep and it lasts longer than that.
I would argue you can't concentrate while sleeping.
No, you can't, because if you're unconscious,
Yeah, but you don't need to
lose concentration.
Yeah, but you don't need to concentrate with aid.
Oh, that's right. That's not a concentration spell.
Yeah, there's a bunch. And
Yeah, like
to
mage
be
armor.
fair, you can only do the, like this thing. You know what I mean? Like for a few things, but it's really good. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, 3 characters, we just get an extra 5 hit points. You know, per level. You know, or per spell level, I should say.
I mean, I can't explain how much I hate like 5e weird power plays.
Well,
They make me so sad.
It's because the
It's like
rules
2 levels in Druid, so
I know,
you get
like,
extra
I
health
really-
bars.
The problem
Yeah,
with
I don't
5e
think
is that the rules themselves aren't like explicit enough. Like there's a bunch of content that's all really like simple and fun and cool, but the underlying rules are like half written. So like Obviously,
Yeah, but
normal
that's
play, you
kinda-
just
that's
fill in the gaps.
intentional, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's somewhat intentional though. That they're just like, you do what you want, you know.
I like the do what you want vibe of it. Like, there's a lot of things that are very simply solved by just rule 0, ask your DM. And I'm like, I love it, absolutely love it. Like,
I just
For
wish it had
me-
some advice.
Like for me,
Yeah.
I can just put that
Using the
like
base games.
DM call, DM fiat into like any system. So if I'm like buying a system, I want those rules
Yeah.
there.
That's,
But I mean,
that's what I remember. I know
I just-
some other people I know.
there I have a lot of reasons why I don't want to give Wizards money on both the Magic the Gathering and D&D front now. So
Well,
And
that's
just
why I
in,
like
and
stuff,
in real life.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I like stuff like Blades in the Dark or other like more narrative heavy kind of things, is because it's like the lack of definition also means that you can't necessarily pull out all kinds of crazy bullshit power plays, because it's like, well, they don't have these weird ass rules that you can use to bend and break the game. It's just what makes sense for what's happening in the game or what your character is able to do or things like that.
It's also like if you just allow it, then it just happens.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a player
So what do we know about
Yeah.
Ravensburg at the
we-
start of the campaign?
you should
Yeah.
speak.
Well, that's like a thing this morning or whatever. I was reading a thing this morning that was on Reddit that was just talking about like Aarakocra or other races that get flight just for free as a racial feature. And it's like, okay, so everybody else in the game has to burn at least a 3rd level spell slot to be able to do that. But Aarakocra can just do it for free with no rules around like how exhausting that is or things like that. So it's just like, oh no, you just get to fly for free all the time.
I'm
And
kind
then
of
it's
fine with that. Like, yeah, I mean, you could argue, like, yeah, someone has to burn a level 3 spell slot, but also, like, heavy armor. A wizard has to burn a level 1 spell slot to basically have heavy armor.
yeah.
It's not.
The thing with the thing with
That
flying
balance,
creatures
that
that
balance
I've
is subjective.
Like
Well,
for me, it's just like I'm cool with Aarakocra as long as they don't fly pre-level 5, because I feel like it's sort of split up into like levels 1 through 5. You can build 2D maps, and if you have to accommodate for a flying character at those levels, it suddenly warps how you prepare everything. Whereas level 5 and up, anybody can theoretically fly because it's a level 3 spell and they'll have it. So you have to prepare for that anyway. So
Well, that was
that's
the
my
argument
perspective
that,
as a DM.
Yeah, that's what the argument was that this guy was making on Reddit, is he basically said, like, as a DM, it intensifies how much I have to prep for everything if just one of the player characters is like, oh yeah, level 1, I can fly. It's like, okay, so there goes any problems that's like, oh, there's a chasm that you guys have to try and get around. It's like, oh, I just fly over it.
yeah,
Like,
but
I'm
fuck
so
me, I guess.
I'm so fine with that. I don't want my players to spend 2 hours figuring out how to get over a hole. That's not fun fantasy. If one of you can just fly across and bring a rope, great.
the way I also look at that as well is
I
that
flap
in some
my
cases
arms very
where-
hard and up into the canyon.
Say there is a chasm, and it's like, well, why are there not things flying over it all the time? It's like, well, yeah, your character can fly over it. You know, your character can go wherever, but then they're by themselves. You know what I mean?
Also,
And
that.
then they get eaten by the fox on the other side.
you put players in situation. There is a certain sense as well where you sort of, instead of planning how your characters are going to get out of a situation, you just put them in that situation. I don't know if 5e vibes with that as much, you know what I mean, as other sort of game, you know, D&D games. Well, I guess.
I mean, also another
Well,
thing
D&D,
specific
right.
to 5e, and like this isn't a huge deal because you can just get around this by homebrewing monsters. But out of the monster manual, something like 85% of the monsters are beaten if you can fly and have any ranged attacks, which is like.
Oh, fair enough.
I mean, that's a problem with the monster manuals. You get around that by just like
all
homebrewing
giants
stuff,
carry
giving them
rocks.
ranged attacks, for example.
ASMR
That's
can
why.
fly at
That's
level
why
1
I was.
too.
Yeah.
I was
They can fly for a minute, and also that's another thing. Like, again, it's like using a resource, but I still am not like super keen on it just because at low levels it does force me to make more complicated maps sometimes. Depends on the game.
I don't mind just putting a marker on the player saying that they are this high up, but I also like I find a lot of DMs get into the mindset at level 1 that combats have to be very simple. And if you have newer players, that's definitely the case. But I find at level 1, you can make a lot of really interesting encounters with more than just like your rats and kobolds. And even kobolds, oh my god.
Oh, kobolds should have traps.
Yeah, kobolds are
They
great.
have traps and crossbows, and if your flying character is in their cavern, they're dead. If they're
Yeah.
flying near the ceiling, they're gonna die.
It's very much again, like you said, if I'm running 5e, I'm probably running it for newer players just because I play a bunch of systems, and if I have a more experienced group, I'm gonna want to run one of those. So
More experienced group or me.
Listen, how dare you? I don't like
You
these
were
valid
thinking it,
comebacks
you
you're
know
throwing
it.
at me.
Probably fine.
But again, it also depends on like the vibe of like how free I want the players to be immediately in terms of like travel. Because like there's certain situations where like if I have a game like that's in Ravnica or something, I'm probably not going to make flight like because I have to be dealing with the verticality of the city anyway. I'm not going to put any sort of restrictions on that. Whereas like if it's like a cave, well, not a cave network, but like if basically there's a lot of gorges and like traversal related issues and like a lot of big brutish melee enemies that I want to use.
Oh, you have this whole time.
But I mean, that's just something that any DM can do with anything, is just like decide not to allow clerics or whatever.
Yeah,
true.
I mean, you will experience like a pre-written campaign that I've done, so it has more hard and fast things that I'm going to try to stick by as much as I can, rather than throwing my own spice on it. I mean, it's all my own spice.
Yeah, it's your spice.
It's my spice, but rather than adding more of my allspice to it, I'm going to try to, of course, do it by the book as much as I can to showcase what I have written, rather than my own personal flair. Or my own additional personal flair, more glitter. I'm not going to throw more glitter on it.
Yeah, we're showing off what's in the book.
But when I do more bespoke campaigns, most of my combats I'm going to cater more to my players, because I find that's a fun challenge both for me and that it creates fun challenges for them. So coming off one of the last campaigns I DM'd, it was a 5-person party, and one person was an owlin, so a little owl person from Strixhaven.
I want to be an owlin.
And they're really cool. And he, bless his heart, gave himself negative con. But he knew he knew what he was doing, and he was like, Owlin have the option to be small, so he literally was just a little guy, and that was like a fun character choice. When like, if you're the only one who can fly and someone's got a crossbow, they're gonna shoot you. He's like, yeah, I'm totally fine with that. And they did, and I mean, he chose to have negative con, so not every character's gonna forego the Constitution tax, but it was very difficult.
Bones are hollow. What can you do?
We lost Scott.
Oh no!
Oh no!
They got him.
But
and now they'll get me.
He was
oh my god!
Because of his mobility, he was in that situation where he was alone, or people couldn't get to him when he was in trouble. And of course, if you're flying around casting Eldritch Blasts on people, they're going to take notice, and you're going to draw aggro, and people are going to try to stop the mobile turret from firing. And we also, in the campaign that Scott was in, I gave players flight at level 1. It was a campaign where they rode dragons. Yeah. Like not only do you get to fly, but you get to fly on a mount. And then it was the challenge there for them was, yes, we have perfect 3D mobility, but also if our mount gets hit, we will die because we will fall to the abyss.
Well, I have a lot less problem with the idea of flight at first level if everyone has it.
Yeah, that's like, the thing.
The problem that I have with stuff like that, and it's the same thing with like super power combos for 5e, is it's like it takes focus away from the group and it ends up just giving the spotlight eternally to the one person who's just breaking the shit out of the game.
The other of this game, the other party that I'm running this game for, one of the characters is a Blade Singer wizard, and he plays it. This is the same person who's like the repugnant character, and he is a good person, so he doesn't cheese things, and he like decides to, he recognizes this is a game and we still have to have party cohesion, so he still makes choices based on that rather than just being this repugnant creature. But the Bladesinger wizard is ridiculous, like as an archetype, as what it does, what it can do. I don't know if I would allow it in a game, but if
Yeah,
someone wanted
can
to
be,
do
yeah.
it, I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's talk about what you're going to do with it. Because like at level 3, he had like AC 24, which puts to shame any paladin or cleric or fighter at that level. Like,
Unless
that's
they're a
just-
robot.
unless
Yeah,
the
I mean,
robots.
Yeah, I've
Like-
played a Blade Singer before. Like they're good, and they can get a really high AC, but it is one of those things. Well, like a lot of classes like that, it's like that's great until you fuck up your hold person save, and then you're boned. Or like there's a lot of effects and stuff like that that it's like if it breaks your concentration, now you're not dancing anymore, and you kind of get that debuff back to being normal wizard trying to be a melee combatant.
Yeah, so that was kind of how I was going to segue, where I feel uncomfortable with Blade Singer as a concept because I've seen how strong it can be, but if someone wanted to play it and not cheese it, but also there are workarounds to it because he's very good at in saves and dex saves, but his con is like middling, his strength
Yeah.
is garbage, and if he has to make one of those saves, he will fail potentially. In the same vein that like if you just give your NPC villains a crossbow, that flying character at level 1 is looking a lot less scary.
Yeah, it's just something that like a DM has to be aware of. Because like if you're just running things out of the books, oh my god.
Oh, still
Beep
robotic.
boop, I am Necro.
Beep, boop, beep,
I
boop.
almost, if I'm going to be honest, I've thought about the same sort of tactics with like spellcasters. Like if you were a group of that knew a spellcaster was there, you're gonna want to put down the spellcaster, and or can't you just like ready your attack and then when they go to cast, you just shoot them in the face?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. I think in previous editions and in Pathfinder, if you took damage while casting a spell, you had to make a concentration check. I don't think that's the case anymore because you're not necessarily concentrating.
well,
but,
you would
yeah,
have to make the check if it is a concentration spell.
Yes.
Yeah.
But only if they wait till after the spell. Like I don't think you can do that to interrupt them casting anymore.
No, that's the trick. I was gonna say that like it would almost be worse to fire it before they cast the spell rather than waiting until just after they cast the spell.
Well, then that sort of defeats the purpose of you trying to stop them from casting the spell. I suppose it depends if you have Mage Slayer or not, I guess.
Well, I guess that's my point. Is it's like you can't stop them from casting the spell. You can
there
just
is no
do
interrupting
updated
spell casting
damage.
in 5th.
Yeah. Incidentally, if we want to dive in a little bit into some more of the world, in Theros, because it is a city that trains mages, and not everyone goes on to be like a good wizard. The guards of the city are trained to handle mages. So like their kits come with like bags of flour because mages cast invisibility. We'll throw flour at them and then we'll see where the fuck they are. They have
That's
nets.
so good.
You're gonna fly? No, we're gonna throw a weighted net on you and drag you back down. Like
Stop.
they've got
You violated the law.
if you have a setting where people know that magic exists, people will come up with ways that aren't magic to deal with them, and should, because obviously otherwise your casters run crazy.
One of my favorite things is a fighter who's just wearing a zone of anti-magic on a necklace.
I did this once because you had told me about it.
Yeah.
I did this in it was a barbarian who could do the big leaping thing, the stupid leap.
The rage leap or whatever.
Yeah, in Pathfinder, most of the party was spellcasters, and the first thing we were like a party of 7. It was too big. There was I think 3 witches because they wanted to form a coven. They all cast fly immediately and flew up, and then he jumped, and their fly spell turned off, and they all fell to the ground.
Oh,
So good.
And that was the only thing they had to fight. They had to fight this one guy, and they had a rough go. It was a very rough go for a party of 7. Yeah. Party of 7 people were like, shit, what do we do?
spells don't work. Oh god.
Spells don't work, and he's mad.
Yeah.
So good.
Angry.
I thought about like campaign settings with like just a different sort of flavor to them, you know? And like imagine if you made characters that were immune to magic completely. Like what are you going to do? Like if your character right now was immune to magic in 5e, like are you going to try to take over? Are you going
draw my dagger and I start
you
to
could still
poke
be
him.
kicked in the face, you know, obviously, you know, but
There's
magic if certain magic doesn't work, you know. If magic doesn't work, then
Have you guys ever read any of Terry Goodkind's work? If not, it's fine. They're very thinly veiled erotica novels.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
my
have
mom actually suggested that I read them. She's like, they're fantasy, you'll love them. And it's like, the first one is, you know, it's very good, but it's very horny. And then you read the rest of it and you're like, this gets progressively hornier. And I didn't know that was going to be a thing. But
Sorry,
anyway,
Mom, what kind of fantasy is this?
yeah. It's,
Whose fantasy specifically?
but one of the characters you eventually meet by like book, it's a huge series. It's like past book 3, it becomes a manifesto against communism. So like, but
Oh, jeez.
one of the people that you encounter, she is called what's the pristinely ungifted, which sounds like a big slur. But they are born without the quintessential spark of magic that is in all living things. And because of that, they can't ever cast magic, but magic can't hurt them or do any, like magic like slides off of them like water from a duck's feathers. If you like,
Oh, I think I've heard of this somewhere. Yeah.
if you use magic to set a fire, like that fire could still hurt them, but like if you cast a fireball, the fireball would just like gloss around them. So they're just like regular people who just magic no work. So they can't actually do. They don't have any not be
Sure.
powerful. Did you guys have any more character questions, world building questions?
Oh, what do we know about Ravensburg? Like at the very start of the campaign, like as we're going to it, other than it's a small farming village.
That would probably be about it. There's probably not a lot that you would know unless you're from the area. And if you're from the area, then I can tell you it's got about 300 people in it, and it's rural farming near the Feywood, south.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't think I'm from the Feywoods, but I've probably spent some time there.
Yeah,
Can I
so
be
you
from
might
the Feywood?
actually, yeah, you're a half elf.
No, I'm a high elf, but
Yeah.
I'm looking.
So we didn't talk about the Feywoods a ton, but there is an elven settlement in the Feywoods. They recognize themselves a little differently from the rest of Alexandria, given that they are in Mab's domain. Elves that come from the Feywood are generally wood elves, and elves that live in the rest of the country are generally high elves, but they mix and match. So you can be from the Feywoods and be a high elf, no problem.
Maybe I was from the capital and I just ran off. It's like, I'm just gonna go to the Feywood. It's calling to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pan calls.
The
and I
town
answer.
in the Feywoods is called Blue Cloak.
Ooh.
Blue Cloak. But if you have been to the Feywoods is huge, so it would be up to you whether or not you would have been this far south to cozy up with Ravensburg.
I noticed there's a dot on the lake at the bottom of the Feywoods. Is that like a town?
That's something. It is. It is intentionally there.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
that
is
sure
in
is
fact
something.
a giant dot. You can
It
see
is
it
in
from
fact
space.
a perfect dot.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you can zoom in there. It is intentionally something.
Mayhap we explore that.
This is the DM's map, but you can see it too. I will be making multiple variations of the maps, some with overlay, some without, for both players and DMs. So ones that the DMs can print and ones that the DMs can reference. This one is the DM's map, just because the players get to see everything today. But this is something. This is something that you see in Chapter 5.
Oh.
Ah.
I will say this is a very well done map.
Oh, thank you. I have done world maps before, just in Photoshop and stuff. But when I was looking for people to do maps for me, I didn't know Incarnate existed. And then someone was just like, yeah, it would be really expensive for me to make all these maps for you, but have you just tried Incarnate? I'm like, no, what is it? Please tell me. And then I spent like 6 straight days in Incarnate just making maps.
That was very nice of them.
It was great. Yeah, they're like, you could pay me for this, but it'll take me a long time, and you will be broke. Like, thank you for your honesty. Because Incarnate, not sponsored, just love them, was $25 for a full year. I'm like, absolutely.
Hashtag not an ad.
Nice.
Hashtag
Yeah.
could be an ad.
Well,
Hashtag
this is an ad.
Incarnate.
It's an ad for the
Hashtag-
Kickstarter, not Incarnate.
This is an ad for the Kickstarter. Hashtag Incarnate. Please at me. Please at me. I am at Sending Spell on pretty much all social media. I would love a sponsor. There is a sponsorship level for my Kickstarter. And your logo will go on everything.
Everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't expect someone to actually go for the big sponsorship deal, but if they did, they are in every single one of my time-consuming tweets, TikToks, Instagram posts, Facebook updates, messages to my grandma. You name it, I will be promoting it.
Your grandmother is very excited to play this.
My grandmother
How
has
much you
no
talk
idea.
about it.
My
Oh.
grandma's very sharp, but she doesn't speak English. She is very strongly Quebecois. She would be super supportive, but she would not understand. But she'd be like, "Oh, that's exciting!" I'm like, yes, yes,
c'est
it is.
bon.
C'est très. Oh, c'est fun. Ça.
C'est très bon.
Yeah.
C'est très bien.
We'd have a chat. I mean, she's very sharp for a woman in her late 80s, but Dungeons and Dragons would be hard to explain to her. She was she visited over Christmas, and we started talking about transgender and transgender identity, because she's like, so you're gay? I'm like, yes, correct. But you're not trans. I'm like, no, that's something completely different. So that's your gender identity versus your sexual orientation. She goes, oh, that makes sense. It's very different. So why are people upset about this? I'm like, honestly, Grandma, I don't know.
I want to hug her.
She's very sweet.
Lots of people are upset about so many things.
Yeah, she's like, I don't understand, because your uncle. I'm like, no, just listen to me. It's gonna be fine. Because my friends, or should I say, don't they identify as female? Well, they identify as a woman. I'm like, then you can say she. I'm like, oh, see, that's easy. Why has no one explained it to me this way? I'm like, Grandma, I love you. It's so easy. It's really not hard.
That's so wholesome. I love it.
I love my grandma. Hashtag not sponsored. Just love my grandma.
Hashtag not sponsored by my
It's been
grandma.
spon-
Just love
yeah.
my grandma.
NecroMageTV Live, brought to you by Christian's grandma.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
That would
I
be
mean,
something.
technically, he wouldn't be here
I
if his
don't
grandma
understand
didn't
what
do
she would be
anything.
advertising.
Knit goods? I don't know.
her
Okay,
Etsy
sorry.
shop.
We
Yep,
keep
off
going off
topic.
track,
Yep.
and it's getting later, so we should wrap up the character Crayola and stuff. Yeah, Tyler, you can be from the Feywoods if you want, or if you can be from the capital, that's entirely up to you. Mage, you could have gone through Ravensburg. You can even be from Ravensburg if you really want.
Oh, definitely
though-
not. Definitely
Yeah,
not.
it's the middle of nowhere. It's like nothing. The biggest thing it has going for it is that it's near the border.
Did we? I don't know if we got to. What's Sadril's deal?
It is a very historic town, a very historic port town. It has a former grove in it that has since been rebuilt as a basilica, but it's mostly a trading town with northern nations and towards the east.
Gotcha.
It's not super big. Like, your biggest cities are on the west coast and the capital. So Whitefang and Sadril are relatively small comparatively to Westgate and Theros.
Is the mayor of Whitefang, or like, what would like the highest position in that city be? Mayor?
In Whitefang?
Yeah.
I do have a geopolitical breakdown of Alexandria. So Alexandria is run by a queen, and the different regions of Alexandria are duchies. And then each duchy has counts and counties, and then the counties rely on mayors of individual towns. So Whitefang is actually the seat of the duchy, and that is of the Corbeau duchy. So the Corbeau family.
So not the DeLazlos.
I don't know who that is or what that's a
What's a
reference to.
Delaslo? That sounds like
It's
a
a
car.
reference to the to Whitefang, the novel / show.
Oh, so it's not a car.
With the dog.
With
yes.
the wolf dog.
With the wolf dog. Yeah. No. Not sponsored. Just love it. So it is technically the seat of a duchy. though it is an absentee seat. So there would be a mayor of the town itself. Why in particular?
Oh, just to make that joke.
Oh, you're not saying that your goal is going to be to become mayor, like you became
For
mayor
this-
of Blighttown?
No,
Oh,
he
my-
just wanted me to go into a diatribe so that he could make a joke about White Fang the dog.
Yeah.
You know what? Balto for life.
Also, it is my goal as every D&D character to become the mayor. You should know this by now. It is my
Very
goal in every character and also real life to become the mayor of everywhere I live or visit.
I love that.
The mayor
So
has super strength, and I covet that.
Like Mike Hagar.
I thought you were going to say Mike Savage.
I don't think he has super strength.
So yeah, I have the breakdown of like the higher echelon of like duchies and some of the counts. Most of it is not relevant to what we will be doing or for the bulk of the campaign, and I've left a lot of it intentionally blank for people to fill in if they want to fit it into their world. Because just because you're noble doesn't mean you're important.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can be
And,
like
like-
the third son of some second son.
I was
Or
the
daughter
third
in this case,
son
'cause
of
it's
a
matriarchal.
bastard.
And medieval monarchies and political structures are enormous and complex, and I'm like, you find your own marquee. I don't care.
No one cares about a Marcus. No one knows how to pronounce the word.
Marquee.
Yeah.
It's
Marquis?
pronounced marquee.
I think both are actually acceptable. I know Marquis is
Cancel.
acceptable. I think Marquess is also a thing.
In Final Fantasy XII, they pronounce it Marquis.
That's
Oh,
just
no.
not right.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Please no.
Um,
I guess it's in Dutch where it's Marquise.
Yeah, there's
And
like
I
a few ways. There's a few ways to pronounce it. Some of them have the S, some of them don't. Because I
Oh.
believe Marquis
We're doing
or
the robot.
Marquis is French etymology, but I'm
Yeah,
not
Marquis
sure.
is French. I can tell just by looking at like the spelling of it. And it is Marquis or but apparently there's also like a Dutch version that's Marquise. Basically,
Yeah, it's
like a bunch
like-
of European languages have similar origins, and so different words are similar, but they pronounce differently.
Well, it's
Depending
like
on where
Caesar.
you're
It's like
coming
how Caesar became a bunch of different words like Czar and
Oh, you mean
Kaiser and
you mean Kaiser?
yeah.
Kaiser. Kaiser Soze.
Actually, yeah, Kaiser sounds like Caesar. Is like Caesar if you pronounce it wrong.
If you pronounce it right.
It's the same thing.
What? Oh, is
It's-
it like a?
Latin doesn't have any soft C's.
Oh yeah, that's why like it's not Cerberus, it's actually Kerberos.
Yeah. Or Cabiros or whatever.
Cabiros.
But yeah, Caesar
Cabiros.
Caesar is an anglicized version of Latin which does not have soft C's.
So it actually is more like.
that's
Kaiser.
why in Fallout New Vegas they call him Kaiser.
Oh, I learned something today. By completely accidentally trying to pronounce Caesar incorrectly, I accidentally pronounced it more correct. Oh no. Oh boy. Anyway, so what's with like some of the other things like Barales and
So
North Dalamar and Bronte?
So- I have write-ups for them. They don't feature in the campaign, but they would have been former provinces of Alexandria when it was one unified entity before the collapse. Right now, they are independent countries. North Dalamar, as evidenced by its name, also has a southern portion. Bronte is the smallest. It is a mercantile country because it's one of the bridges between Alexandria and North Dalamar. Barrelese is a little larger. It's a little bit more militaristic after the fall of the Empire. And North Dalamar suffered a schism between the North and the South. But
this up here is also Barrelese, right? Like
Yes.
that's connected. Okay.
The Feywood and the Great Lake act as pretty enormous natural barriers to to Alexandria proper, so it was hard to maintain control of these sections, and post collapse, it's hard to reinvade or conquer. So,
is there like who claims or governs the lake and the forest itself? Alexandria?
Alexandria claims dominion over the forest, technically, though Mab would probably disagree. She would probably declare it her own sovereign area. And the lake itself is essentially shared territory.
Because I was just wondering if there was like any sort of like trade over this like thin part of the lake, like any sort of travel over there, or if it being in the Feywoods would be not stable.
It would be disincentivized between Alexandria and its neighbors over the lake, but North Dalamar and Bronte, they would probably have some trade over here, and there'd probably be trade all the way up to Barrelese. So the other nations would probably use it. Again, they don't factor in as much in this story.
Okay. And do we know what we're going to Ravensburg for? Like, what's our mission brief?
Oh yeah, so
that was
that's the little notes I gave you guys. Oh, why?
Gotta
Where's my
save
Discord?
the children.
You've got to save children. So kids have gone missing.
We're gonna
And-
be absolutely fine.
You guys are fine. You're not kids, right?
I mean, I was a kid once.
We're
It was
somebody's
terrible.
kid, yeah.
Everyone is
The
someone's
kids
kid
turned into
sometime.
thorny abominations.
Yeah. So there's I guess for the chat, I mean, when we do the session tomorrow night, I'll do a preamble and setup, and then we'll introduce the characters, and then we'll go over it. So I'll reread this tomorrow night. But yeah, the setup is the mayor has reached out to your adventuring guild for help. The reward isn't huge, so they can't send like the A team. They send their level 1 team.
We're the Z squad.
You're
Omega
but
Squad. We're
You have
Omega
Omega
Squad.
You can work your way up the alphabet.
We started the
Alphabetical
re-
order is a lie, so why not?
As someone whose name starts with a V, I appreciate the statement that that alphabetical order is a lie.
Wait, Tyler.
Tyler with a V.
Yes, sir. Your name does.
Yeah.
Terrible. Because I had to.
My last name starts with an A.
I hate you.
But
Why
also,
did this campaign?
my graduating class was also like 45 people, so
Oh yeah, no.
I wasn't going to be there long anyway.
Oh, I envy you, Mr. A.
Mr. A. So yeah, I mean that's what we've got for going off. It seems like we've got some solid character concepts. Tyler, if you're still mulling stuff over thematically, but it seems like you've got a good concept for your bard.
Yeah, I'll probably type some stuff into the Discord either later tonight or early tomorrow, just to kind of like quick sort of summary, run it by you.
Cool, sounds good to me.
Alrighty,
Awesome.
looking forward to this. Necro has said many good things about you.
I picture my
DM.
character as being just a kind of angry person.
Again, Scott? You do this to me again?
No, but a different angry.
Like a cold simmering rage.
Wait.
Like the kind of anger you channel
kids
into
that
actually being productive.
Not the romantic tension you had with an NPC you love hated.
No.
Romantic anger.
It's like when you want to hit your kid, but you don't, you know?
Oh god.
That's why.
Well,
Says the only father.
Yeah, Garrett, he
got
has
layers.
a kid,
It's
so
got
he's
layers.
allowed. He's allowed to say things like that.
Oh, I thought you meant he was allowed to hit his kid.
Yeah.
Oh no!
You're not supposed to hit other people's kids.
I don't think hitting any kids is technically allowed.
Yeah.
I mean, technically.
as long as
Yeah,
they
if
don't
you wanna
find
get
out,
into
anything's
technicals,
legal.
Yeah.
No, that's terrible.
Listen,
don't
if
hit your
you
kid.
hit a kid hard enough, then they atomize and there's no evidence.
No. See, the campaign is about not hitting kids.
Don't hit the
Campaign
kid.
it-
Throw a pillow at them.
The campaign is specifically about saving children.
It's very, very pro children.
We are pro children.
Yeah.
I love how someone in the chat is like, "This is a podcast now. Wonderful. We've created another white boy podcast."
Oh, we've finally
That's
done
right.
it.
So,
All
so
these
guys,
years.
Let's talk about the issues of the day.
Oh god. So how about that continent that looks like that looks like Waluigi's emblem?
Canceled. So
Trans people, do they deserve rights?
Oh god.
Does anyone deserve rights?
Do we deserve rights? Certainly not.
Oh, of course they do.
okay. So we can
Completely
have this
dungeon.
conversation as long as you can do it in character.
Yeah, I'm very proud that I've been the one to derail the conversation again.
Anyway, on that note,
On that note,
I think we're pretty good. I think we're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think
have to
we're
pick like my
already this-
skills. I think that's all I have to do mechanically.
Oh yeah, I need to take my
Equipment,
skills.
we're just going
Oh, yeah,
with,
equipment.
average.
Starting gear, like your
Yeah.
character Crayola starting gear should be fine.
We're like
If
if
you
you
want-
a sword or a
if you-
knife or something, right?
Yeah, they or staff. I think you have a choice. You have multiple choices for things. I'm pretty sure.
If you wanted like a specific plot or character background related trinket or something, go for it. Like
Neato.
again, we're only doing part of this unless we get like a million views.
Some child leashes.
You heard him. If we get 1 million views, this continues.
If we get 100 subscriptions before this happens to NecroMageTV, then
I also,
focus
I
on
also
this
Yeah, my
Twitch.
family heirloom is a child leash.
So subathon
So
game,
now-
it just keeps going as long as people sub.
There's children around here
Now-
somewhere.
Scott, I will tell you, since you've said this, there is an item that you homebrewed that has made its way into this campaign, and it's not a child leash.
oh
And that is all I'll say
Oh
on that
no!
matter.
Oh no!
oh no!
Oh no! I think I know what that item is.
Now we're not going to spoil that.
No, we're
Oh,
not.
please don't. I want to find out
You
what
won't-
this is.
Is my
won't
dread
capture it.
appropriate? Is it the thing that I think it is?
It's the thing you think it is.
Oh
It's
god!
not- It's not
Oh.
in the introductory adventure, regardless. But all this to say is, if anyone who is watching this currently is excited to watch this tomorrow night, please sign up for the Kickstarter, subscribe to NecroMage TV, click the dings that do the things, as Olivia Gobert Hicks would say. If you ever watch Magic the Gathering content, click the things that do the dings. It's just such a good statement.
That is a very good statement.
Yeah, it's probably TM to her because she's amazing. But yeah, sign up, support creator content, and have fun tomorrow. Oh, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
check
Is that,
it out.
is that a good? Is that a good sign off? Mage, I
Yeah,
don't know
I
how you
think
sign
so.
off. How you
I don't
sign
know
off?
how
You
I
don't
sign
know how to
off.
sign off
It's so
either.
much harder to sign off with
Yeah.
other people. I just
Get your pets spayed and neutered.
Get your pet spayed and neutered. I'm gonna sign off and stop talking because my boyfriend's about to watch Succession with some friends.
Goodbye, America. Have a good drink in the evening.
All right.
We love you. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Tune in
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.
Hey. All right, I'll keep you all in the loop.
All right, sounds good.